This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Full barn.
We back. Wait, were you out of the country, Nate?
Yes.
Couldn't remember if that was part of the country or not part of the country.
Alex is a legal voting citizen of the United States and did not know if where Nate visited, Nate was the Bahamas?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Oh, I was thinking, never mind. I know that Jamaica is not part of America. I did not think it was Jamaica.
All right. Today is Monday, December 23rd, and let there be gleeful celebration, jubilation in Happy Valley and
Jubilation.
Columbus.
Jubilation. Jubilation. Sorry, it's Christmas.
We have winners this week, everybody. Winners
We
this week
have
in the college
winners.
football playoff. We will break down the college football playoff first round and NFL Week 16. I have excluded bowl games from discussion because I feel like that's just going to be us saying scores and having no real context for what happened.
Yeah, look it up if you want.
They're going on. Um, Maybe we'll pay attention in the coming weeks. TBD.
Florida Stomp Tulane.
That did
That's
occur.
really the one that I will watch this week.
All right. Nate returns after a week away, as already mentioned. Nate and Sam went on vacation. Nate,
Yeah,
did you swim with the fishes?
no fishes. I ate some fishes, but
Not in like a dead way.
oh no, they were dead.
No, I meant swim with the fishes.
No, I did not.
Isn't that when someone dies and you throw them overboard? They swim with the fishes.
Any exotic foods, Nate?
Um, no real exotics. I mean, just basic stuff. But well, unless you want to consider oxtail exotic.
What is that?
Oxtail,
What's that?
the tail of an ox.
Oh, I thought it was a fish.
Okay, here we go. Nate took time away after finishing his high school football officiating season, which ended with a state championship game. Nate, how
Yeah.
was that for you?
The experience was awesome. Hope to eventually be able to do one again. Um, just the only thing that kind of sucked was getting down there on Thursday and having all the build up for the game Saturday night. Kind of wish we could have just gone down there and like had one of the first couple games just to not get it over with, but not just feel like you're sitting around waiting for it all weekend. Um, the game itself, great game. It ended up being a 24-17 final score, which was I think the closest of the four games, which we kind of knew that going in given the regular season score. Chippy early, it was two teams from the Eastern Panhandle that were separated by like 6 to 8 miles.
That's what my dad and I were talking about. They had to travel from their hometowns.
Yeah, had to travel 5 hours away to go play each other. But it was chippy early, and then after a while, my referee had enough and threw a flag and goes, "I've had enough of this shit," like yelling at both teams or whatever, and just gave them both unsportsmanlike or whatever. Didn't attach it to either player from either team, just one each way, and it kind of settled things down. I think it was only 7-0 going into half, maybe, and then uh, it was Spring Mills and Martinsburg. Spring Mills ties the game with like 2 minutes to go. And of course, I had to drive from Charleston to Pittsburgh immediately after the game. So I'm like, fuck, I don't want overtime. So Martinsburg gets the ball back, and very first play from scrimmage, 80-yard touchdown run to take the lead with like a minute and a half to go. And that's all she wrote.
There it is. The end to Nate's football season. You getting the wall sits in, getting the squats in, ready for baseball season?
No, I got some time for that. I've already got a few on the docket, probably not till like early March, but gonna take this time to recover a little bit. And the vacation was much needed, perfect timing. So gonna enjoy the rest of the holiday season. Then maybe we'll do some wall sits and air squats,
And
some
then later when you're
pointing,
ready.
Some point.
Yeah.
strike.
Work out that vocal cords. All right, everybody. Thanks to everybody that's interacting with our socials at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on. Ding ding.
Get that bell on. betting episodes coming out maybe at some point this week, TBD.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's Christmas week. We don't know exactly what the schedule will look like. If anything comes out, it may just be a one-off at a weird time just to say we did it.
I mean, I'm down to record. I got no life.
One to come later. Yeah, well, I know Alex has already stated
Well, that's because
sometimes
he's just a drunk.
I didn't say anything about drinking.
zero comments.
Never a comment was made about drinking. Jim,
Only
I just
only
assumed because you're
only
West
one of us
Virginian.
only one of us this weekend posted anything about us drinking, and it was
I was not drinking
You were
to get
stress
drunk.
drinking.
you didn't have
I was merely
you
having
didn't have any Tennessee honey.
a Tennessee whiskey on ice.
Is that
Back
not
off.
drinking?
I was merely abiding.
Well, I don't know what you did with that glass. If you didn't drink it, then
Then
I don't want to know.
shame, shame, shame.
Did you put it up your butt?
Did you
I was
chug it?
not butt chugging. I
Did you
was not
chug
butt
it?
chugging.
Well, you didn't drink it.
All right.
All right, come on now.
Rest in peace to Mr. Ricky Henderson.
T's and P's.
Baseball great is now gone. That brings us into the college football playoffs.
Playoffs?
Round one, starting last Friday night, where Notre Dame beats Kurt Signetti in the Indiana Hoosiers 27-17. Notre Dame controlled this one throughout. We had two late touchdowns from Indiana that made this even worthy of saying it looked close, even though everyone that had any eyes on this game will tell you it was not close at all.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it was never a game at all, unfortunately.
We had some pregame comments from Kurt Signetti, who said that they dominate top 25 teams, I believe.
Except for
Ohio State or
I was going to say you just kind of
Notre Dame.
on
Top
that one there.
25, not top 10.
I don't think they played any teams aside from their two losses this year.
The
I mean,
someone made a comment about what's his name? Shane Gillis was on the game day thing beforehand, and they were talking about like to Nick Saban, like, yeah, would you have been out like doing media stuff and whatever before the game like Kurt Signetti was? And Nick Saban's like trying to be like politically correct about his answer. Where he's like, no, I wouldn't have. I'm like, they kind of called him out.
You mean Alabama Jones?
Yeah.
Per Shane Gillis.
Yes.
Thoughts on this game overall? Any thoughts, whether it's about Notre Dame or Indiana? Nate.
I did catch the second half of this game down in Jamaica land. I kind of expected this outcome. I mean, as we saw when Indiana played Ohio State, it's like they play a team that has more to offer. I mean, Indiana, good story, nice Cinderella run, but I don't think anybody really anticipated them competing, let alone coming close to winning this game.
I didn't realize that they were the losingest program in college football history.
no.
That'll
I
happen.
think Signetti probably should have not talked as much going into this one. Marcus Freeman earned that extension in my eyes. This was good for him. Team looked real good. Shane Gillis and Saban, that whole exchange. I thought the bigger story was Nick Saban and Signetti, where Signetti said he learned a lot, but Saban comes back and goes, but you didn't learn, don't talk shit. I was like, good job, coach.
How do we
Good
feel about
job.
Notre Dame having their names on the unis for once?
They said it was a postseason thing.
I liked it.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
No, all the NIL, they ought to have them on there.
Yep.
I think that Nick Saban is starting to get like very outspoken about his opinions on things, and it's cracking me up. I'm here for it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go with that.
I mean, he is the old man on the porch. He's even got a commercial of it.
It's incredibly true.
I think
maybe
McAfee
that's why
helps
I
that.
like him.
Oh, McAfee's an enabler.
Yeah.
120%. For those that didn't know, 40 Notre Dame players took a final exam the day before the game. That was like something that was touted. I was like, okay.
And 42 assistants were there on standby.
Uh,
And here we
Well,
go.
yeah, they even mentioned what was the one that uh the quarterback took? It was like cosmology.
I think it was supposed to be, yeah, yeah, it was cosmology. You're
You
right.
mean makeup?
No,
No,
no, that's
that's cosmetology.
cosmetology. Cosmology is like cosmos in the universe and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Cosmetology like makeup?
Yeah. He's like a fifth year too, which is even more interesting as to what his field of study looks like. All right, any last thoughts on that game?
negative.
No.
No? Good. All right, bring us into Saturday football, which started with the noon kickoff on TNT. Penn State.
Which, hold on. TNT. Make sure, I don't know if that's in the notes, but TNT. Shout out to TNT. You made the comment, and I think a text message that their coverage greater than Fox. You aren't wrong.
I just said they were better than Gus Johnson.
You
I
aren't
don't
wrong.
know. It just seemed like they didn't get in their own way,
Yep.
right? It's kind of like the game, they were not bigger than the game. And I think a lot of
Yep.
those larger networks, they try to be bigger than the game. So I was appreciative of that. It also didn't hurt that Penn State beat SMU 38-10 in all of this. SMU didn't convert on early fourth down, and this was really all that needed to happen in order for Penn State to get over the top to just lay the hammer down. I don't know what would have happened if SMU would have got that early fourth down and or a touchdown, but after that, it was all Penn State. Kevin Jennings looked like he was a high schooler on a college field at times, laying a lot of, I think, SMU supporters and some other people from the ACC who were trying to prop him up a bit, and he just did not deliver.
He
And
looked
he had done that 2 games previously. They were saying he had 5 like turnovers. I think here's my question for you, Muff, and it's gonna come off like, oh, here we go. But I asked this genuinely.
Yeah.
Penn State did this shit to Ohio State off the rip defensively, and Ohio State had the mettle to like withstand the early barrage of Penn State's defense. In a warmer game at Penn State,
Hmm.
with a quarterback who had mileage on him, who had that game experience.
Right.
In mid-season,
Right.
Kevin Jennings probably doesn't have the mileage in a game where the weather like that was poopy weather.
Yeah, it was mid-teens, 20-ish plus mile an hour winds. I don't know if you all saw it, but I listened to the Kevin Jennings pregame interview and watched it, and he looked uncomfortable walking around on that field
Yeah.
before the
That boy
game
was
even
seeing
started.
ghosts
Yeah.
by the time Penn State got, they were revved up anyway.
Mhm.
If that was a neutral site game in warmer weather, does Penn State get 5 turnovers? They'd probably get 3. They probably beat the shit out of him. But does Kevin Jennings look as bad? He looks bad. He would look bad. Not taking it away from Penn State. But does he look like a baby out there?
I'm not, I don't know. Honestly, he probably looks a little bit better, but then, I mean, overall, you have to say the defense as well
Yep.
is also gonna be a half, not a half, but a little bit faster as well, right? So
I agree.
everyone's gonna be flying around differently. That's why it's tough to say, warmer weather, neutral field or not. What does this look like? It just maybe Jennings does not go in the tank after a quarter.
That's what I'm saying. I think
Right.
I still think the score is pretty much the same, but I think Jennings doesn't look like a baby. He doesn't, and that's the nicest way I can phrase what I want to say. Like, he doesn't look like he doesn't belong out there.
Yeah, it can look different. I don't disagree. Um, really, Penn State's offense didn't have to do much of anything in this game,
Not at
aside
all.
from not put themselves in a bad spot. Post game, I saw, read all comments about Drew Aller just not being Drew Aller-ish, and I was like, I don't look too much into it. Again,
Mm-mm.
cold 20-ish mile an hour winds. I Okay, you can
I
say
think it's
that, but
overrated. I think he's
Well,
overrated.
I already know you
He's
think that,
overrated.
but the people at large were, I think, reading into it a little bit more of what this game was from the perspective of his stat line. Other thoughts on this game, Alex?
No, I mean, it was just clearly Penn State was a far, far superior team in this game. I think you're right. Kevin Jennings looked like crap. I don't necessarily think that it would have gone much different. And maybe it would have, maybe I'm wrong, but the weather affected him, but he just looked bad. I mean, bad choices mentally. Like it wasn't just physical errors. It was like it just didn't look like he belonged on the field with them.
To clarify my statement, if poop dog poop is 10, which is what he was,
Yes.
I think in a warmer weather neutral site game he would have come out in a 7 or 8 is what I'm saying. Still
So,
still not great, but not
okay.
dog poop.
Yeah. Well,
That's what
What
I'm saying.
what's
maybe.
a step below dog poop? Cat poop? Another type of
It would have
animal
been
poop?
like
Deer poop?
rotten garbage.
Okay.
I was gonna say like a hairball.
Just like
That's a 5.
that's this is like a compost pile,
Yeah.
right? It's fermenting.
Yeah.
It's becoming poo. All right,
Yeah.
Nate, did you get a chance to see any of this game? Any replay? Anything?
No, I did not. I was in
Okay.
transit to the airport.
Okay. There we go. Final questions.
My last statement is I hate the numbers on the Penn State helmets.
Okay.
I just don't like that. That's their alternate unis is let's put numbers on the helmets. I hate that.
Well, we'll get to what Ohio State's choice was in their game, but here we
Yep.
go. Texas in the afternoon game on Saturday beats Clemson 38-24. It's another one of those. Texas was dominant most of the way. Clemson made an attempt to claw their way back into this, but ultimately the Longhorns just too much. Take the W, move on to the next.
Bad Dabo.
Sad Dabo. I
Uh,
think Dabo's a good coach in terms of like he keeps his guys in it. I think there's a chink in Texas and it's called Ewers. I think Sark gets too tricky when he puts Arch in there for weird plays. I don't know that Texas can hold up against other teams. That's my take from this.
yeah, I mean, Texas gets the win. They move on, but they were just dominant overall. Most of it was in the rushing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Blue had a couple big runs or had a big run. But this was just Texas, I think, was dominant enough in all phases of the game to just be like a boa constrictor and just squeeze the life out of them.
Size differential there between the teams. But visually, I don't know, but visually, it looked like Texas was just bigger in all phases.
Final thoughts, questions, comments? All right, moving into the nightcap. Jim, would you like me to give a brief overview? Or do you just want to take it away?
Whatever you want to do, bud.
All right. High State 42, Tennessee 17. High State puts together what many are saying is their best offensive performance of the year to lay
Years.
years
Add Ness on that.
to lay Lane Kiffin's tweeting spree to rest from his weekend tweetathon. How's everyone feeling Columbus land, Jim? And
Uh,
was the Scarlet on Scarlet a hit?
yes. Yes. I like the Scarlet on Scarlet. I will give you the brief synopsis of the feelings prior to and during the game. Prior to, I would say Friday night into Saturday afternoon, it was, oh fuck, the hillbillies are here. I went out to the mall, coworkers went out to the mall, the bars, and it was orange everywhere. Columbus was full of Tennessee people. Went to work the next day, and we all talked about it, and it wasn't just like at one location. They had invaded. Okay. First drive of the game, And I said to Joe, holy shit, that place is orange. I've never seen an opposing team's fan base load up our stadium like that. This is embarrassing. And then it was just,
Hmm.
oh, never mind. This shit doesn't matter anymore. Ohio State just went off. And I was the happiest I've been in a long time. And
Were you,
then,
were you, wait, were you the happiest or were you the most relieved? Because remember, Alex can vouch for me on this. The question was, is a win in this game going to bring you excitement or relief?
relief. I
And you
was
said
relieved. You're right.
relief.
I was relieved. You're correct. I will say the text messages. This is how literally. I wish I could read. My phone's dead. It went. Hell yes, this is awesome. Hell yes. Wait, where the fuck was this during the Michigan game? Next touchdown. Hell yes. Did you see that? Awesome. Where the fuck was this during the Michigan game? For the majority of the night.
Why
And
can't
then
you enjoy what you have now?
because I'm a Columbus, I'm a Ohio State fan. And then we started making cheap excuses. Like, do you think we did this on purpose? Did we lose for position? Was Will Howard concussed? And that's why, like, we started making dumb excuses.
So if you start making dumb excuses like that, is the next thought Ryan Day's a genius? We need to extend him.
Nope, fire him. I
Oh.
am not. I am not. I am not.
Are the people that are making these excuses and conspiracy theories of that mind or no?
I think there are quiet. I don't think my friends will ever, like my Ohio State friends, are ever going to say to me, we should extend him because they know my vitriol for this man. I will lose my mind. But I think they're quietly saying, like, if we win the Natty, we'll be okay. Whereas I am still adamantly fire that man. So, yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna bring up something that really like kind of chaps my ass about Ohio State. I hate that you guys line up and like get in the faces of the opposing team while they're
That's
trying to
new.
walk around.
That's new.
I think it's disrespectful and weird. And my dad said the same thing. He's like, that just makes me like want them to get their asses beat.
That's
That
Jack Sawyer for some reason. I don't know why he's doing this.
I don't
I
know
can't.
either, but my dad was like, I have zero respect for that kid because he's
I
like,
don't know why he's
play your
doing
game
this.
on the field.
It
Yeah,
seems
he's
like
like,
manufactured machismo. I don't know that I'm okay with it either.
well, I was like, well, he did it before the Michigan. They did it for the Michigan team too. And my dad's like, that completely changes my opinion on what happened after the game. He goes, I'm glad Michigan did that now. He goes, if that's the way they acted before the game and then got beat, like I'm here for it then. Like he was like, my dad was like fired up about it. He's like, that's bad sportsmanship. He's like, if you want to play, you play on the field. He's like, you don't have to do all that extra shit. He's like, that's stupid. Because at first he's like, oh wait, I forgot they go through the same tunnel. And I was like, no, that's
Not
at
at Ohio
Michigan.
State.
Out at Ohio
Yeah.
State. And I was like, look, and they all cross the field and go through their tunnel. My dad's like, yeah, that's bullshit. And I was like, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. There's a difference
Yeah.
between like getting fired up and like getting yourselves fired up and not like being idiots. I don't know. It makes you look bad, to be honest.
I wasn't a big fan, but like
That makes me feel better that you also are not a huge fan of it.
the only counter I didn't like on the Tennessee side was like you came out shirtless, flexing your muscles for all of 5 seconds before you had to throw them warm ups on. But like, I agree with you. I think the screaming, like getting in their face, and they weren't even coming back at him. So like, yeah,
You're
Jack,
just like, yeah, well, you look like
rein
that.
it in, rein it
Yeah.
in. You look silly.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. That makes me feel better that you also agree.
Tennessee players taking their shirts off just goes to show that teams that do that are owing forever.
Yeah, I
And that
would.
was just stupid.
That's just weird.
And like Twitter was blowing up about it, but like the real fans in the stadium were like, that lasted all of 5 seconds
Yeah.
before they
Like,
were
why would
running.
you want to be cold? That just
Yeah, that was just dumb.
I think some SMU players did that as well. And I was like, oh, guys,
That was bad.
this does not go well for anybody
there,
whenever
there
you
was
manufacture this.
there was a Penn State fan like without his shirt on or something, and they were like they made a comment about, do you think he has like spirits flowing through his body?
Right.
Like whatever he has something to be able to stand there like that.
Now-
Back to Ohio State.
Uh-huh. Are we done with the game part of it?
No. We'll,
Okay.
one more thing.
Let me know.
One maybe more things. Will Howard throwing some darts.
Man, best game of his life.
the game plan seemed to be perfect or near perfect. And I don't know if that's Ryan Day and or Chip Kelly.
I would say it's a combination of both.
Okay, so they're both. I don't know how much both of them are involved in the offensive game planning. That's why I was
I
curious.
believe Chip Kelly has develops the plan, runs it by Ryan Day, and he gives his approval.
Hmm.
I think they both sat down and went, we have to use the weapons or we're gonna get burnt out of this town. So they played
Uh,
to their strength, is what they said.
they did it seemed a lot of crossing patterns and taking advantage of one-on-one matchups, no matter who that was
Yes.
with. I mean, Jeremiah Smith was the beneficiary of more of those
Whew.
than not, but definitely a good overall game for the offense,
Hmm.
and the defense just had to not screw it up. I mean,
Jim
from a way
Knowles.
of just needed to just keep everything in front of them. That was it.
Hold on, Muff.
Hold on,
I lost my headphones. My fault. You there?
got your snare in your headphones.
Yeah, I got you. Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator for Ohio State, is an unsung like hero. He's caught so much shit since his time there, and then this year he's probably coached one of his best seasons and doesn't get anything for it because there's so much hate for Ryan Day. So kudos to him.
Kudos to him. That's my last thoughts on the game itself. Alex, Nate, questions, comments for Jim before we get into other things?
No, I thought Ohio State looked pretty dominant right out the gate there. And like Jim said, like where was that all year?
Hmm.
You don't have to have it all year. You just have to have it when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. Post game. I don't. Is this post game?
This is more of the coverage of the game.
Okay.
I'm going to save my Kirk Herbstreit coverage for later, but I want to talk about I've never watched a full game on the Pat McAfee part, his telecast. I knew Herbstreit was going to do his thing just from like what I read of the game day coverage, and I was like, I'm not putting myself through that, so I'm going to watch the McAfee coverage. Holy hell, what he gets away with!
Oh yeah. Oh, you did you watch game day?
No,
Oh, he got away with stuff on game day. Similar things. The nutting all over.
no, 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 no,
He did.
no.
Oh, he did that in
That was
game day.
hilarious.
He did that
That
in
was
game day
hilarious.
too.
But I'm talking about he literally said fuck on
Oh.
live TV to security. And it was just like that's okay. He just does whatever he wants during that coverage. I understand why like my parents, your parents are probably like, we're not, no, 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 no. And it was like it was sometimes hard to follow if you're not paying attention to the game the entire time. Like some of the inside jabs or inside things. Like Joe was in the other room doing Christmas activities, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "You had to see it. You had to see it." But it was funny. I can tell you, damn sure less stressful than if I was watching the Herbstreit telecast. But Pat McAfee, that was pretty good.
Jim's a fan of your coverage.
I didn't think I would be. I was one of the more traditionalists, but that was good stuff.
Yeah, it's typically pretty lighthearted, right?
Bobby Carpenter comes on and hands him the binoculars with one eye because the other one may have been filled up. Like they're drinking on live TV.
Yep.
It's okay. Pat McAfee.
What you get.
Yeah.
Uh, other thought. What about Lane? Let's talk about Lane Kiffin for a second.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Lane, it was very critical
I don't know if
of
he was very critical. He raised a
Indiana.
point.
Also pretty critical of SMU
Again, raising points.
and of Clemson.
May have been off base.
And then his Twitter machine went silent.
It did not necessarily go silent. He did tweet let's go Vols when they shared the crowd being orange, and then it went silent.
Did anybody else see Joel Klatt's response?
Joel Klatt did clap back at him.
A lot of the world has clapped back at Lane Kiffin.
He earned his licks.
So this brings us into next our overall thoughts on the first round games and the committee's decisions.
Oh, wait. We're just going to skip over our thoughts on his tweets?
Go ahead, Jim. Give us your thoughts on his tweets.
I think that him, of all people in his team, probably not the one to champion those thoughts. Are his thoughts wrong? Not necessarily. But he is not the guy who should be championing the thoughts. Jackson Dart took a shit at the end of the year and basically stated the case like Ole Miss shouldn't be there. I have been an Ole Miss fan, and I can tell you they did not belong. But Bama, South Carolina, Miami, compared to the others that played in front of us this weekend, maybe. I think Miami would have given you a better match, Penn State.
Likely would have, but you also have to, at least get to your conference championship game to have a say in that.
I don't, not wrong.
From Miami's perspective.
Yep. I can tell you that Bama versus Notre Dame would have been a more entertaining battle.
Maybe.
But you got to get there, which is
Yeah.
Joel Klatt's point.
Yep. First round matchups, committee decisions. Do we think there would have been any underdogs that would have won if the underdogs in these first four games were different?
I think that the top four teams played really well. Like I think that Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State all played some of their best football. So part of me says no.
Okay. Let's make sure I put this disclaimer on here. Clemson would be in this game. It would be in these games no matter what. So we're looking at the SMU,
Indiana.
Indiana, and Tennessee. There's the three games we're looking at. Three teams we're looking at.
I think you would have got a better quality game had someone been in there over SMU and over Indiana. I just don't think those teams were quite there, like roster matchups. I mean, you look at some of these other bigger programs, like they have the depth. It's like both these teams, yes, you had great years, but they weren't built for the long haul. I mean, I'm not saying they won't get there, but I mean, just off a 1 year run, they weren't there.
Well, I think they earned the right to play in the game.
Oh, absolutely, they did.
Don't think that there was a chance they were going to win the game.
Mm-mm.
I can't say with confidence that Miami, a Bama, maybe even a South Carolina wouldn't have upset somebody.
You can't say they wouldn't have or they would have.
I can't say that they wouldn't have.
Okay.
I can't. And I'm looking at Notre Dame. I think Penn State could have handled all three of them. I think Ohio State could have handled all three of them. I think Tennessee could have handled all three of them. But when it comes to Notre Dame, the jury's still out for me. Like, I think they're the next, lame duck.
Tennessee wouldn't have been hosting a game in this situation, though.
But I'm saying, do I kick them out? You know what I mean? No,
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. I think, honestly, this year for the 12-team playoff was the perfect storm for the committee to just make all of the wrong decisions and have to justify it in a way to make sense for later. The history of the 4-team playoff has traditionally had blowouts, even in that first round. I'm not saying both games.
I've heard that argument. That's not a wrong argument, but the four teams have ironed themselves out to where we can't question those are the four teams.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these first rounds, I think we just need to get used to that we're probably not going to have four great matchups and four
No,
great games,
I
no
even
matter
thought
what.
that even like with like the Division two FCS and Division three and even high school playoffs, first rounds usually don't get close games.
So
Well,
I
think about
just,
like March Madness. I mean, not to compare it to basketball, but I mean, usually you're looking at 30 to 40 point routes in some of those games.
Yeah.
But every once in a while,
right, we're gonna have a Cinderella story sooner or later, but I just don't think we should expect it. So,
I also
uh,
don't think you can use this as a reason to not say expand, which is what Lane was also hinting at. And some other pundits were like, oh, we should expand because, like, sarcastically,
yeah,
like, no, if we need to expand, we'll expand. Like, just because you didn't get your blowout
right.
or you didn't get your upset, like, that's not true either.
Yeah, you don't
I
just
don't,
expand for the sake of getting more teams in. Now, it's sooner or later there's going to be that justification, especially when the dollars start rolling in. But for now, I
right.
don't think I don't think it's needed.
But I also think some of this needs to go back to the conferences. Like, Signetti took the Indiana deal. He looked at the schedule and said, "I can get 10 easy wins." Like that was said during the game. Like that shouldn't be the case. Like start scheduling correctly.
Yeah, I don't know from conference to conference, especially as major conferences, if they do any competitive balancing. On like a 3 to 5 year, hey, we're going to make sure that this, and this happens. And it's tough to speculate year over year, right?
yeah, you
Especially
don't know
now in the
who's going to
transfer
show up.
portal. In the year of the transfer portal, you can put a schedule together that you think is going to be evenly distributed and competitively balanced, and things just fall on their head in March.
But you can look at a team and say, "Listen, these three FCS schools you're taking in the beginning of the year, or Bama, that one you take before you play Auburn, like we're gonna hold that shit against you." Like we could put more emphasis on the strength of schedule and hey, you need to put a road like non-conference road game and we'll give you bonus points. We'll factor that shit in.
I don't disagree with you.
I just don't know if the committee's ever going to be able to say that out loud.
I think that we used to.
We did. Strength of schedule was a thing.
Like if West Virginia says, I'm gonna travel to Oregon in my home opener and they lose, and that's their one loss, like you get in over a one loss Indiana who lost to Ohio State.
I don't think it's the one versus one. I think it's when we get into two versus three. That was the issue this year, I think, more than anything.
I think that one loss gets taken away.
I
Like
think it's,
now it's 2-2 in my opinion.
I'm not
Like
sure
if
what
they
you're
lost
about.
a tight game against Oregon, if WVU is three loss team and one of those losses a 1 point loss to
Okay.
Oregon.
Okay. What you just said was one loss versus one
Right.
loss.
I jumped that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't have that as necessarily held against them as tight.
Well, it depends on how you lose, I think, in that game as well. I think that has to be factored in.
Well,
If
that
it's
was
a,
always a big thing too. Like what the eye test of like how well
Yep.
do you.
Bring that shit back.
uh,
Uncle,
I'm indifferent. I'm in early indifferent to that. I don't want to disagree or agree with that because the eye test then is potentially so subjective that this creates the larger case for the Lane Kiffins of the world of, well, we need to expand it then. If you can't figure out 12, then you got to figure out 16. If you can't figure out 16, you got to get 24. Like there's never going to be an end to that debate.
I think you keep it at 12 and put less emphasis on the conference champions if we have such shit conferences.
TBD on that. TBD. Any other final thoughts on the first round matchups?
Uncle Rod made an interesting point. He thinks that they should redo the bracket after the first round.
Reseat.
BC.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm all about that. Because Oregon's getting punished. And I'm not just saying it because of Ohio State. Like, let's say Penn State was
Hmm.
Ohio State. Like, they're getting punished and they're the number one team in the nation.
Yeah.
That's not fair to Oregon.
No, but I don't know. Would the reseeding change. I don't think the reseeding would change that because Ohio State would still be your lowest ranked team, right?
Never Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's 6, aren't they?
Yeah.
So this would still play out because all the favorites won.
Mm.
So there wouldn't be any change. It would only change if an underdog won, and then they would become the last seed that would have to play the number 1 team.
It would
I
change
was
who they play.
Yeah. Hmm?
Wouldn't it change who they play though for this next round?
No.
So number
No,
one is
I
playing.
said, looking at the rankings, Ohio State was 8, Notre Dame 7. Theoretically, is still playing number 2 Georgia. So yeah, everything's lined up.
So it should be 1, 8, 2, 7. It's 3, 6.
Right.
Yeah, you
So
would
right-
reseed it 1 through 8.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
as of right now, no, it is all
It's
based
all
on.
correct, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
So 1 through 8 have moved on. Yeah, it only gets wacky if you would had like an SMU or a Clemson or somebody win, and then that can screw it all up, the reseeding. So I mean I don't disagree that you can consider that. I'm just saying this year it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're right. I think I was not realizing like
Yeah, neither did I.
I don't think I realized that like Ohio State was the low.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was-
reseeding does not mean the committee goes back and says, okay, we need to re-rank them. It's where did they fall within who moved on.
But
Of
again,
their
the
original
conference
seeds.
champion, the conference bullshit's what screwed it up.
I mean the Boise State potentially screwed it up a little bit.
Well, I think
And
that's
Clemson.
yeah. I would say like Arizona State shouldn't be considered 4.
Yes.
Like they should be considered 8. Or Boise State should be considered 8. You know what I mean? Like that's I think what I'm thinking is like
Right.
what was your actual ranking would have been at the end of the season, not
Right.
just your conference champion.
I will say that I think the Power 4 conference champions should no, I can't even say that. I was going to say host a first round game, but then that would mean Clemson was hosting a first round game, which it would be weird
I
this
don't even
year.
think host a first
Put
round
them in
game.
as
I
the
think they
rank.
should get into the playoffs. I think it should be an automatic bid into the playoffs, but have no bear. I think it should be
Well,
one.
which that's exactly what it is right now, Alex.
Right.
No, it's not because they get a bye or they
Not everybody. Clemson didn't.
the top. I don't think it. Okay, I don't think it should matter that it's the top 4.
Okay.
I think the top. I think it should just be rank 1 through 12.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
I see where like a conference championship knocks that like 12th seed out and they get replaced. Like I think that all the Power 5 conference champions or all the Power 4 conference champions should be guaranteed a spot.
No, I say get rid of that shit.
No, I say guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, but not guaranteed a bye.
I don't care about champions anymore. Get rid of it.
Champions
What's
are
the
going
point
to
of
probably
doing
end up. Yeah. Is that your next thought, Jim? No more conference
What?
championships?
Yeah, because there's no point.
No, I mean go ahead and play them.
No,
Well,
I
there's no
don't-
reason to
that's
in
stupid.
that. Yeah.
It improves your ranking. Like you get to go up more spots. That's a chance to go up in the spot.
I don't think we'll ever see one where like if realistically, Arizona State deserves to be in the top 12 playoffs.
Yeah, they would have ranked top 12 anyway.
Yeah. So I think in a perfect world, 90% of the time, all 4 of your Power 4 conference champions are going to at least be in the top 12 by the
If
time you
Oregon's
win the
number
conference.
1 and Ohio State is number 2, that beat Michigan, right?
Yes.
And they
Well,
go to play the
let's play the
championship.
hypothetical world. Let's play in the what
All
happened.
right. So who did Oregon play in the championship?
Well, you
Penn
just looked at
State.
number
Penn State,
one
right?
through 4 was Oregon.
Who played in the Big Ten championship? Iowa State and Oregon and Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and Oregon was 1, and Penn State was ranked what? 5.
I'm saying that you need to look at what the top 12 was this year.
Muff,
It was
I am. I'm saying what were they ranked
Oregon?
going into championship?
Texas post-championship, or are you looking pre-championship?
Pre-championship.
I don't even remember. See, that's
So let's
what,
call
I
let's
think
call
they were
them
like
5.
1 and 5.
yeah, Penn State was like 5, 4,
Okay.
5. Penn State
If-
was 4. Penn State was 4.
If Penn State had won, they get the number 1 seed in the championship because they're the number 1 team.
Yeah, they were. That was what was projected to happen if they would have won.
And Oregon drops, and that's how they're seeded because that's the way it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12. You play the championships because it could affect your seeding in the bracket.
But what
But
I'm
like
saying,
guaranteed spots, I don't give a shit about. You're playing the champion.
but what's so if the big say the Big 12, they're not going to be in the top 12. So what's the point of playing conference championship?
Yeah, if
Then-
you're not the
The
non-power fives, they don't have an
Then your
automatic bid.
conference sucks this year, and that's not my fault. The same thing could happen to the Big Ten or the SEC. If your conference isn't strong enough to get in the top 12,
Well, that's never going to happen in our lifetime.
do better.
No, that's not going to happen in our lifetime.
The
SEC,
Big 12's
Big
not
10.
going to get in the ring.
No, the SEC, Big 10.
I mean,
I
it's the
don't.
same concept as basketball. That's why you play that's the exciting part about the conference championship. You get the at-large bid.
That's not exciting.
Yes, it is.
That's what makes the NCAA basketball tournament exciting, Jim. It's precisely what makes it
So a
exciting.
crappy conference gets an easy bid.
Well, you should be excited then because then it's an easy win for
You
you.
got to remember, Jim, how many teams are in that field. Totally different situation here.
We can't make. That's what I'm saying. We can't make it the same.
Well, there's not as many conference champions we're talking about. We're talking about 4 versus
No, we're talking about 5 because we
no.
let this bullshit Boise thing in.
I mean, to be fair, boys would have been in the top 12 anyway.
Exactly.
But
Again.
we guaranteed somebody a spot and
But my
screwed the
point
whole thing
is,
up.
most of the time, these conference championships are gonna be in the top 12 anyway.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
year,
think that's
this year Clemson was going to be 12 either way.
But they got to be what number in the stupid playoffs?
I'm
They were
saying that's
12.
my whole point is saying that I don't think that it should be like if you're the worst conference champion, you still can get in, but you're going to be a 12 seed.
Which is what happened to Clemson.
You're not going to get an automatic bye. The first bye, even if it's Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and whatever, those are still the first 4 with a bye.
You guys are arguing a similar point from different angles. But all said and done,
That's all
let's
right.
let's not get too upset for all of the teams that played this weekend, especially those that lost, because every team that played this weekend in the college football playoff walked away with $4 million. Those that are in the quarterfinals get another $4 million.
But all the rest of the money goes to the playoff, whatever it is. Right? All other proceeds go to the playoff.
Go to the separate entity of the college football playoff.
Right.
$6 million to everybody that's in the semifinals and another 6 in the championship. And then each team in each round gets $3 million in expenses. A lot of money being tossed around here. You're looking at 100 million plus.
That's ridiculous.
Just to schools for being in it. So, if we want to argue who should be in it, I feel like all of these schools would like this. And SMU, while they did lose, just walked away with a cool $4 million and $3 million to expense out to travel to Happy Valley.
What can they do with that money?
College football playoff?
Yeah.
Anything that's within NCAA regulations, which I don't know what that would be in this case.
But, like, that
And
can't be
obviously they
like
can just reinvest it. I mean, they're their own thing. Like they're not affiliated with the NCAA.
no, I know. No, I meant like the team. Like, can SMU like they can't use it as like NIL money, right?
Who knows, Alex? More to come on that. There's an April court ruling, which I'm not sure what is going to be all said and done if institutions, as they expect, getting control of NIL and not having to work through these collectives. More to come on that later. Any bowl games aside from Alex saying Florida just stomped Tulane? Anybody watch anything else? Care about anything else?
Not
Nope.
really.
All right. Our winners and losers of this week in college football. Before we talk about some other college football news, let us start with Jim.
Winners and losers. My winner is Tennessee fans. Never seen a fan base take over the horseshoe. Your Twitter game was on point. When you were in town, you were respectful. The ribbing was cool. Thank you for boosting the economy this weekend. Uh, Good people overall. I'm not mad at Tennessee. So you guys are winners to me. Losers, Kirk Herbstreit. Like, you flirt with the line of professionalism and unbiased, You are Benedict Arnold. I truly don't think you belong. Like, if I were you, I'd take your access. If I were Ohio State, I'd take your access away to the Woody. Like, you are putz. I hate you, Kirk Herbstreit.
Go on. What did Kirk say?
Just anytime he gets to poke the bear of the Ohio State fandom and ridicule the fans, like, you're not wrong. Columbus is a vile fan base. We get it. But like, you don't have to keep poking it. Like, you've made your point. They all wanted Ryan Day's head. They're also allowed to be mad at losing to Michigan 4 years in a row. Like, you can't just be like, wow, you got to suck it up and get over it. Like, no. And you do little shit to like poke at them. Like, you wore a blue tie.
Sorry, I know it's not funny to you. It was just
But
if you
like,
just listen to what like what you were mad at him because he wore a blue tie, it
but
sounds
like, you're in Columbus and you wore a blue tie. You're a Buckeye. Like, you knew what you were doing.
Did
And
he?
even if you
Nate.
yes, he did. He knew what he was doing. You say shit on like, I was nervous because I walked into the coaches and none of them had called me to tell me congratulations on my son getting recruited to Michigan. No shit. Nobody's gonna call you. Why would they? Like, you just say shit in open air to get people riled up. You say shit like, wonder what they're gonna say about First Take now. They wanted Ryan Day's head. Like, you're talking about your fellow coworkers. Like, you try to get shit for the sound bites to get them to be mad at you. Just shut the fuck up. You're not wrong. I'm not saying your points aren't like valid, but you don't have to keep stoking the fires.
I think you got clipped on that coach's situation, Jim. Do you know where that happened?
No.
His son,
Yep.
a member of the football team, not a playing member, but a member of the team, correct?
Uh-huh.
Whatever the senior closed door ceremony is, he was at that, spoke highly of that whole situation, and an aside, after he spoke highly of that whole thing, keeping, not divulging anything aside from like, hey, everyone gets up, they talk, like it's a nice emotional send off for the players, the seniors, like to have this moment. Um, said, and while I was there, he's like, nobody from the coaches or anybody came up to me and said anything about my other son who's going to Michigan. Like that was kind of the comment. So it was like in the vein of, I understand this is exactly what you're talking about. Like say this, and then you had to say that.
There was no reason for you to say that out loud. Like, you didn't need to put that in an interview. Like, no reason. You're stoking fires. Shut up.
is his other son even good at football?
Uh,
Like
his, his son,
why
I don't think he's able to play, is he, Jim?
He's not good. The only recruiting he had was from.
No, I think we're talking about the one at
Oh,
which
I don't
son are you
know.
talking about? I think the one
Oh,
at
I
High
was
State is
talking
not able to play.
why?
Jim, I'm. Is there a health thing?
I think so. Yeah.
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 Well, I was wondering, like, I guess that's my question is like with this whole like other Herb Street going to Michigan, was this out of like spite because Ohio State didn't recruit him? I don't know.
The one that is going to Michigan,
Yeah.
he's going because that's the only place he got an offer.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I wonder if it's like a spite thing, kind of.
Well, wouldn't you go if that's where you got an offer?
But I'm saying, did Michigan like?
I don't know. I
I don't
don't
know if he's
know.
good. Like they don't need him. That's what I mean.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. He's like a 3-star recruit.
Terrell Pryor was right. He's not a real Buckeye.
Nate, winners and losers.
Winners for me, oddly enough, in this conversation is Ohio State. You finally showed up and showed everybody what everybody thought you could have been all year. So let's see if they can keep the train rolling, Jim. And then, as we talked about earlier, my loser is Kurt Signetti.
Oh, Kurt. I'll go next. Winners college football fans. While the games were not competitive, guess what? We still got to see the first round of a 12-team playoff. We got to see four playoff games that weren't
Yeah, Spheres were cool.
that were in a home atmosphere, to everything that we could see, which had fan bases excited, and I think just brought a good attention to the college football game that wasn't, the GoDaddy.com Gasparilla Bowl at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon with 1,000 people in the stands. So college football fans are winners to me. Lane Kiffin is a loser because Lane Kiffin ran his Twitter fingers all weekend, whether or not you believe in what he was saying or not. He then went quiet. And if you're going to be on the Twitter machine, you have to stay consistent, take your lumps in the good and the bad. And Lane disappeared. He was a ghost. He's my loser. Alex.
My winners of the week are people who didn't buy into the Indiana hype because everyone else got real disappointed real quick. And my losers are the ACC because you put up SMU and Clemson, they both got mollywopped.
Blah, blah, blah. All right. Other college football news. A lot of things that could have some definite ripple effects in years to come. First, in Diego Pavia's case, there was a preliminary injunction related to his years playing in junior college, counting towards his NCAA eligibility. And the ruling is that the JUCO years will not count, and Pavia will have one more year of NCAA eligibility.
Good for him.
How many JUCO years did he play?
One or two. I just don't know. Yeah, he gets one more year. I'm assuming one if the JUCO is going on here. The
Yeah.
concern, the growing concern amongst, you even see this with some coaches now. I believe Steve Sarkisian said something about this. Lane Kiffin may have. I'm not going to put
I
that
bet he
out there,
did. I bet he
but
did.
there's a good chance he did, knowing Lane. And what this could create on the recruiting front, especially athletes coming out of high school and how they may pursue the Division I football route, especially in power conferences, because for major conferences more so than ever, why are we going to recruit an 18-year-old kid whenever we can say, go to JUCO, get a year in, let us evaluate you, and then we'll tell you if you can come see with us or not. So, also with the potential age of players and just what this could mean to the future of college football as we know it at the highest level. And JUCO may just start this minor league system as opposed to recruiting players and then developing them in your program. Thoughts on this ruling, whether it's good or not for Diego Pavia? I'm more interested in what we see making of this in 5 to 10 years from now, if this is applied at large.
I think this can change everything completely. Like you said, you have an example that I'm aware of here because I've been through with my brother doing it for a semester. You got guys going like JUCO, like what about baseball? I mean, that seems to be more of a thing in the baseball realm more than in the football realm. Like, how's that going to change other sports? Like, are guys going to go JUCO for that or for basketball or anything else where there's a lot more bigger D1 things? So
Alex?
Um, I think my take on this would be, and I don't know that this would ever be a possibility. I think you should either get a JUCO year or a redshirt year. So if you come in from a JUCO, that year doesn't have to count towards your eligibility, but then you don't get a red shirt as well.
now, what if you
So
go 2 years out of JUCO?
then I think then it starts counting. So I think you get that 1 year of like you can still go play 4 years at a Penn State after a JUCO, but you're not. I think the point of a redshirt year is kind of to get you into the system and let you grow a little bit. Well, to me, you're using that time as a JUCO player to grow and develop and all of that. So that's how that year is spent. But I think once you pass that 1 year, now you're chipping into your eligibility.
Your clock starts after one JUCO year.
Yeah, so basically you're getting 5 years still, 4 years plus a red shirt, like you would somewhere else. So at that point, you're going to get 3 years of Division I.
Okay. Jim, thoughts?
I'm down for it. I like it.
What do you like about it? That's
He
what I
gets
would.
another year. I want to see another
No, no,
year.
no. Not Diego Pavia. I'm talking about if this was applied at large.
Uh, I'm okay with all of them getting it. I like more years. Doesn't hurt anything. They want to stay. Good for them.
So, what this does to the recruiting landscape does not bother you.
Not at all.
So we're no longer recruiting high school players, and you're okay with that. That's what
Well,
I
you
just,
can. If you're that good, you're going to get recruited in high school anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to want you not to go to JUCO and then have someone else pick you up.
yeah, but the number of players at that point that are being recruited that way is going to be very, very minimal, especially with the roster limits being cut down too, all at the same time. Like this, I'm just looking 5 or 10 years down the road.
I don't
Diego
think you should
Pavia
be
is
able,
what is.
I don't think you should be allowed to sign any kind of commitment or get any money or anything in JUCO. Like, I think that like you can't say, okay, I commit to Ohio State, but first I'm going to play your JUCO. Like, I don't think you should be able to get like well, you can't get benefits from that program until you are there. So if they want to
Okay.
sign you to make sure they have you on retainer as a junior in high school, that's fine, but you're not going to JUCO first. Like they can't use it as a farm team thing. They can use it as another recruiting area for
Okay.
kids that didn't make Division One right out of high school, but I don't think it can be used as like a holdover spot
Okay.
individually for
Yeah,
schools.
like baseball, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
You can't sign a national letter of intent and then send them to JUCO for a year and then bring them up.
Yeah, no, I
Which
don't
I don't think you can do that anyway, but
no, yeah, but I'm saying like that would be where I would have a problem with it. But as long as I mean, like Jim kind of says, if not, some of these kids do need a year to grow. Like you see some of these tiny like seniors in high school that maybe would have been a better player if they'd had another year to like, you know, grow and mature a little bit. So I don't know.
the at this time, this could change after the playoffs and everything like that in college football. The best rated defensive player in the portal, defensive tackle Jaheim Otis, has committed to Colorado.
Well,
Mike Vick takes a head coaching job at Norfolk State after it was originally, I think, misreported that he was going to Sacramento State.
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
that out there. Like maybe they were just like, oh no, we want him too.
Norfolk State's not like the Bulldogs or anything, right?
Good one, Alex. I don't know. We should probably look that up. Um, that would be interesting. Mike Norvell is giving $4.5 million of his salary back to Florida State in a restructured contract.
After this year, he should.
Yeah, I don't think you earned it
He definitely did not. WU News, Alex Garrett Green announces he's going to the draft
as a wide
as a
receiver.
wide receiver.
I think that's a good chance. He has no chance as a quarterback. So, I mean, you might as well throw your hat in the ring as something else. But, I mean, Randall did that. I mean, he had a, like, 9, 10 year stint as a receiver in the NFL. So,
Yeah. I mean, David Sills did that, but he became a wide receiver, like in college.
yeah, I know.
You know,
That's the only thing that's surprising to me is, like, do you know how to play wide receiver?
PBD. And I found a little bit more context. Last year, we talked about the Army player who was entering the transfer portal, and I found additional context that he is a true sophomore, and cadets don't sign a final contract for their junior and senior years until after their sophomore year that ties them to West Point and additional service. So this was within all of their procedures, nothing out of whack here. But if they do sign that junior contract, they have to pay. It's like a six-figure payback once they do all of that. Reportedly, he is transferring to Arizona State, probably to replace Cam Scadaboo at this point.
Hmm.
There we go. Inter college football news.
Nope.
Nope. All right, let's get into the NFL. Starting with Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, we have the Chargers taking on the Broncos. Chargers come on top, 34-27, outscoring the Broncos 21-6 in the second half. On the way to the win. Biggest news in this one, aside from the Chargers win, is the Chargers complete the rare fair catch free kick at the end of the first half. Cameron Dicker with a 57-yarder.
Kudos to Harbaugh for knowing the rule.
Right? It was a. Is anybody else watching this live?
No, I saw the replay of it. I was like, man, we've talked about this in the high school rule book. I didn't realize it was an NFL thing too.
Yeah, I forget who the official was on the call, like the who they call in, but they like beep that person in. He's like, "Oh my God, we have the opportunity for this. I wonder if they'll do it." So it's interesting there. Other thoughts on this game?
No, it
Mm,
started out looking like the Broncos had it in the bag.
Mhm. Yes. Chiefs Texans Saturday football returns, and the Chiefs get a 27-19 win. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs find a way to do it again, beating the Texans, who will be without wide receiver Tank Dell now for the rest of the season after a severe knee injury. And I have seen nothing more than a severe knee injury, which leads me to believe this was epically terrible.
there was some Gumby. I saw some replay. It
He
looks like
looked
everything just if everything's not torn to shit and broken, he's lucky. I don't know if it's not career ending. Honestly, he's just coming back from an injury and everything just looked like it fell to shit. Like it was not good. It was bad
Indeed.
poop.
Indeed.
bad.
There was some clamoring about the officials again in this one. I didn't see anything very specific, but we already had people on it.
There was
I don't,
just go ahead.
I don't even know how to start, Alec. Like you can't you can't really decipher how to explain it. Like it's like, uh-oh, Chiefs are down. Let's get them flags out of the pocket. Oh, it's a questionable fumble. You know it's gonna he roughed the quarterback. Like it's the calls are gonna go the Chiefs' way
Every time.
every
There
time.
was one that was literally a phantom call where the announcers were like, "Yeah, and here's the holding call," and they were like, uh, and then like literally, and then just cut like new topic because they were like, it's like someone was standing there with a gun, like, don't talk about the fact that that wasn't actually a penalty.
Yeah, it's sketchy.
Other news for Texans, I just saw this, which I thought was interesting. Linebacker Aziz Al-Shahir's hit on Trevor Lawrence ultimately voided his $9 million 2025 guarantee because of the suspension, and he's missed out on 300K in game checks for this season.
Oh, hopefully he'll think better about not being an asshole.
Yeah.
I just thought that was that whole guarantee for next year, big deal. Big deal for somebody that this is their profession. Another Saturday football action. We had the Ravens beating the Steelers 34-17. Lamar Jackson gets the rare winner of the Steelers as the Ravens clinch their playoff spot and are alive in the hunt for the AFC North title. The big game for Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in this one as they double up the Steelers in the points. Steelers again were without George Pickens. TJ Watt did play. Prior to this game, the Ravens waived Deontay Johnson. Alex, how do you feel about the Steelers?
They have not looked great against good teams the last 2 weeks, but they're also missing. I think you're seeing how much George Pickens not being around for Russell Wilson as a downfield threat makes a difference. It's really hindered our offense because everything we have without him is like short to maybe mid range, it seems like. And all these defenses have to do really is cover that. You know what I mean? We lose that threat
So why not make the switch back?
to Justin Fields.
Like why not do a two quarterback situation?
I
I
thought
don't I
injured
don't know that that
Russ.
would change much. I think it just either way we're missing our downfield threat, no matter who the quarterback is.
What'd you
Is that,
say, Nate?
So I thought Fields was inactive for this game because he's in.
yeah, he was.
Okay.
Fields is hurt, Jim. I think he was emergency quarterback. I don't know if he was inactive, Nate. I definitely don't think they were doing anything to put him in the game. Um, yeah, so George Pickens is a big piece of that overall offensive puzzle. Um, this early on was a game that a few different bounces, a few different ways could have turned this one in the Steelers' favor early and just changed the momentum and everything about this game. Was it two fumbles the
And
Steelers forced that didn't recover, and they only got 3 points out of two trips inside the 30-yard line in
that
that
Russ
first half.
Wilson fumble was really took the air out of the sails because that was went from like almost a huge play to catastrophic.
Yeah. So Ravens, Steelers tied, and I think the Ravens hold the tiebreaker right now with best conference in division record. So that's where that one stands. Next, we have the Falcons taking on the Giants, and the Falcons behind Michael Penix Jr.'s first start get the win, 34-7. But his stat line meant nothing to this one. They had a pretty balanced attack on the air and on the ground, and they played the Giants. That's all I got to say. 34-7.
Giants are just miserable.
Giants in line for the number 1 pick.
Bingo. Kirk Cousins likely to be released prior to March 17th when his $10 million roster bonus is due.
Poor guy.
Where's Kirk going to end up next year?
It's couch.
Minnesota, back to Minnesota.
That's potential. Next, we have the Lions doubling up the Bears, 34-17. Lions keep doing their thing and take the easy win over the Bears. Jared Goff tosses 3 touchdowns. Caleb Williams has a couple of his own in the loss. What right now is the narrative on Caleb Williams in his rookie season as the season comes to a close? Alex.
I think he did okay. I think his sophomore year is going to be like the big, like if he continues where he's at now and gets slowly better, he will have a good career. But I think there's also potential with him. He makes me nervous. He could just like shit the bed next year.
I think it's more emphasis on the organization to not let that happen. Like, is Chicago going to be Chicago, or they just gonna let this kid like develop? I don't know.
Nate?
I think it's a two-sided coin here. It's like, are you going to eventually see the good Caleb Williams that won a Heisman Trophy, or are you going to get the Caleb Williams you saw in his last year at USC?
Yeah, I'm unsure. I just know the narrative this year is there were some highs and there were a lot of lows, and the Bears is still the Bears. So what will come? I agree with Jim. What's the organization's plan, and how does this play into the bigger vision that they have at that organization? On a separate Lions note, Dan Campbell did a radio interview early last week, and he was quoted as saying, in response to some of the fans and the NFL's commentators and analysts, he said, and I quote, "You know what happens is you win 11 in a row and you lose, and then the sky falls. And I hate to say it, but we're not going to be able to win 11 in a row again the rest of the season. You know what happens is you get used to eating filet, but you forget what it is like when you had nothing and you ate your fucking moldy bread. And it was fine. It gave you everything you needed, and sometimes you got to be punched in the mouth and remember what it used to be like to really appreciate where you are." This was on a live radio interview. He dropped another F-bomb later. Um, and the guys on the radio show were just like looking at each other like,
What
"Oh,
do we do?
we're not going to stop him, but who's going to say it?" So I think Dan Campbell's point is well taken here, to the Detroit fans and to people that were, concerned that they lost a game. Like, come on. You want to go back to where we were? I think we're okay. So, Dan Campbell fans, Jim, Alex, like this? Not like
I
this?
do.
I like
Even
it.
as an Ohio State fan, it's hard to hear,
I
but
was gonna say.
like,
He's
Now,
talking, he's,
If
look,
Ryan
he's
Day came
looking
out,
at you, Jim.
if Ryan Day came out and said something like that, what would be the vibe?
I think if he had Dan's personality
Okay, yeah.
And it wasn't the Michigan game.
and it didn't come off forced, and he had won the Michigan game, like if he had won three and lost one,
Mm.
I'd be like,
And the one was this year. It's like, come
yeah, I'd
on.
be like, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. Let's suck it up. We
Yeah,
can get behind Ryan. Let's go. Let's go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like he at this point, he's always playing from behind.
All right. Panthers beat the Cardinals 36-30. Panthers score in overtime to win this one. The Cardinals now eliminated from playoff contention.
All right.
Rams 19, Jets 9. Rams get the win and currently sit atop The NFL West.
Came from behind on this one.
What was it 7-0, 9-0?
9-0. And
Uh,
they
s-
did.
Okay.
Jets
I
remain
was,
grounded.
yeah, somebody put the phone call in like, hey, you're not supposed to win this one.
Yeah. So Rams are top of the West, as the Seahawks did not win. This was an interesting one. The Rams gained only 242 total yards. The Jets had 321.
That's
The
what I
Rams
mean. The phone call was put in, Muff.
gotta have the Rams. Let the Rams win this one. Commanders.
Oh,
Bum,
wait.
bum, bum, bum,
Oh,
bum, bum.
Jim. Yes.
I forgot to talk about something in the college football part. Damn it.
We'll come back to that. Other
Thank
interesting
you.
news in sports.
Thank you.
Put it in there if you need to make a note to yourself. Commanders 36, Eagles 33. Jalen Hurts goes down, gets concussed. The Commanders have 5 turnovers, but still, they find a way to win over the Kenny Pickett-led Eagles squad. Welcome to your hell, Philadelphia Eagles fans. Kenny Pickett is your starter. Commanders put themselves with a win in the driver's seat for a playoff berth. For the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts is going to be missing, we'll say more than a game or two, what does this path look like for them moving forward? Nate,
They'll be fine.
with Kenny Pickett at the helm?
No, if Hurts only has to miss a game or two with a concussion, they're fine.
Okay. Alex?
Uh, Haha, you're stuck with Kenny Pickett.
Fair enough. Jim, any thoughts?
No.
All right. Bengals beat the Browns 24-6. The Bengals' thin playoff chances stay alive with the win. Joe Burrow throws 3 touchdown passes, and DTR can't come through for the Browns. Throws 2 interceptions. Um, Storyline coming into this game for the Bengals, Joe Burrow gifted his offensive lineman Japanese katana swords. Is this a good gift for your offensive lineman?
From him,
Kind of
Yeah.
cool.
he's kind of an enigma. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
No, pun.
Whoa, whoa. We don't toss that word out. There's only one of those.
I was gonna say, yeah.
His name's Aaron Rodgers, Jim.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, it was different. It was a different type of gift. I mean, I think it's cool. Maybe he'll make them take like Krav Maga and other types of defense tactics so they can block
No.
better.
Will
Maybe
there
that's
be
like
a game?
his next step is like,
Will,
all right, boys, now you got to put this into practice.
will there be a song and dance with the swords?
Uh, no, Alex.
The
If
youth
if
birthday
you're talking
party.
about the league, then
Oh,
are
that
you
is
talking about the
one.
league?
Yes.
Okay, no, we're not going to get into that one. But it's a good episode. Good episode for everybody that watches the league. Colts 38, Titans 30. I mean, exciting game that none of us cared about. Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns. Mason Rudolph pretty much did, I think, what we expected him to do. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Colts get the dub. Vikings 27, Seahawks 24. Justin Jefferson about 150 and 2 scores. The Vikings still sit behind the Lions, but are lurking, and they play in Week 18, which could be for the division. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum-ba-dum.
Might be your Week 18 primetime matchup flexed in to Sunday night.
Definitely should be.
If it's not, something's severely wrong.
Yeah.
I agree.
NFL, if you're listening.
Yeah. If you're listening to us, which we know you always are, Roger, if you're listening, do it. Bills 24, Patriots 21. Patriots jump out to a 14-0 lead, but then it's Josh Allen and the Bills who take it over, score 24 unanswered on their way to the win. Headline of this one, post game, Josh Allen seemed to be having a bit of a problem with his throwing hand.
Oh,
Didn't it already come out that he's playing on a broken hand on his non-throwing?
This was his throwing hand.
Ooh.
He was shaking it out and he threw a duck after he rushed the ball, dove head first, was kind of tackled a little bit into the ground, nothing nefarious, and then was shaking his throwing hand out, and the next pass he threw was a duck that was about 15 yards short, about 10 to 15 yards right of target. And then after that, he didn't throw too much more. So, and he was on the sideline shaking it out a lot, trying to throw. Just didn't look comfortable. So we'll see what this looks like
Maybe,
in the coming
maybe
weeks.
he popped a fingy out.
I couldn't tell like what's if there was a specific finger that was the issue. He's kind of shaking his whole hand. So initially the people were like, oh, maybe he hit his elbow and like he's losing some feeling,
Yeah, like a
like
funny
down his
bone.
arm because it was
Yeah,
like 15 degrees there. So
yeah, like a funny bone kind of situation.
yeah. So keep an eye on that for later. Raiders 19, Jags 14, Dolphins 29, 49ers
Yeah,
17.
Yep.
In the game of the teams that could have been this year, the Dolphins come out on top. 49ers on running backs 4 and 5 now. Just, just an absolute dumpster fire in San Francisco. Sunday Night Football live looking Bucks at Cowboys. Nate,
Uh, Cowboys are up 13-7 and driving.
we don't need this, Nate. We don't need this for your Bucks.
No, we do not. But the good news is, with the Commanders' win today, Dallas has been eliminated from playoff contention.
That is true. That is true. And in Monday Night Football, we have the Saints traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. I think we have Desmond Ritter starting for the Saints. Alvin Kamara out. Is anybody picking against the Packers?
No.
No, although I did see that apparently the QB coach put the Saints players in the walk-in freezer to go over plays.
I also saw
Oh,
that.
Epic.
that is a pretty epic.
I'm just curious what they did. They just sit there, like was like here's what I would think would be interesting. Let's do that for 10 or 15 minutes, like it would be between drives, and then make them go out on the practice field, throw the ball around for 10 or 15 minutes, and go back and forth. Like I feel like that might be a better use of the time than just sitting in there. But
That
we're
reminds me
wrong.
of like when you're little and you get in the hot tub and then try to jump in the pool because it's cold.
There you go. All right, in the NFL, we have a playoff picture in the AFC clinched spots. Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers, Broncos, which leaves, I'm sorry, clinched spots, Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens in the hunt, Chargers and Broncos, and on the bubble, the Colts, Bengals, and Dolphins. So we've got 2 spots up for grabs in the AFC between the Chargers, Broncos, Colts, Bengals, and Dolphins. In the NFC, we have the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings who have clinched. And we have the Rams, Bucks, Packers, Commanders, Seahawks, Falcons. We have 6 teams fighting for 4 spots. Falcons,
Yay.
I think the Falcons have like a less than 10% chance. So I think we may have most of what we've got in both sides in the AFC and the NFC. Nate, we're pulling for you, buddy. We're pulling for the Bucks.
Yeah, they're not going far, even if they get in.
Okay.
Good you have faith, Nate.
I'm just realistic.
I feel like the way that Nate comes off as realistic and the way that you come off as realistic, Jim, are 2 different ways.
Very much so.
All right, that brings us into other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
All right, Jim, what did you forget?
Um, so there's a clip in the Ohio State game of a band
Imagine this. Imagine this.
member crying,
Yes.
and an NBC news affiliate tweets out some bullshit at her, and like she catches some shit on Twitter, and it's not okay. And like, let's take the Ohio thing out of it for a second. If this senior playing a cold brass instrument in 25-degree weather on her at her last home game gets emotional and you decide to dog her, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I don't care what band she plays for. That's a senior college kid. You're a grown-ass adult. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, no, I agree.
That I want to throw her in on the loser. That NBC affiliate, you're a piece of shit.
Do you know who it is? Do you call this person out by name?
You know what, Muff? I'm glad you're doing this right now. Thank you.
Like, if you got hate in your heart, Jim, just let it
I
all the
do
way
have
out.
hate in my heart.
Don't
Hold
don't
on.
don't hold back on this, buddy. Now's the
You're right,
time.
dog.
Bring all the heat.
You are right. Thank you. Hold on.
I agree with
Nicole
you. That was a shitty thing to do.
Auerbach works for NBC Sports, League College Football, and College Basketball Insider. She's on Sirius XM Radio. Nicole Auerbach.
Jim, I think you need to call when she's in on her Sirius XM show.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Now, listen, you got to get through the first wave of the call, so don't, you know.
Oh, she deleted a tweet. She knew she was catching smoke.
Well, if you're gonna call in,
What did
you
she
can't make
say?
that be what you want to talk
Remember?
about.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get through. You're not gonna get to the conversation. You got to find something like that positive happened with her. Be like, I'm gonna talk about this, and then like 8-year-old Connor on the Pat McAfee show. Then you tell Boston Connor to eat shit.
Yeah, I think I might. That's just not okay.
No, no reason to be hateful.
Indeed. Other interesting news in sports in the soccer world: Marshall University's men's soccer team took the L in the championship game to Vermont in sudden death extra time. Vermont, a Cinderella story of the
Yeah, that's
men's college soccer championships. Alex?
that's the school's first championship ever
Like in any sport.
in any sport.
Well, they are a school, I think, of Ryan Day. I think. No,
Well,
that's New
Ryan
Hampshire.
Day has a championship, Jim.
That's New Hampshire. So never mind. I'm sorry. Good for you, Vermont, for not
Don't-
being the school of Ryan
Oh,
Day.
there you go.
For not being the school of Ryan Day and men's soccer champion.
I believe they survived a like 3 overtime game in their conference tournament. Not even their conference championship,
Dang.
their conference tournament to even get into the tournament by winning their conference championship. And then they just made a run. So
Good for you.
congrats, Vermont. Sorry, Marshall. Couldn't bring it home. In volleyball, Penn State University women win their 8th championship and their first, I think, since 2010. Behind the leadership of their coach, Katie Schumacher Colley, she becomes the first female Division One volleyball championship coach.
It surprises me.
Hard to believe.
I think this
I
is
don't know if that's true, Muff.
men's and women's volleyball.
I don't know if that's true.
Jim, they touted it 100 times on the
But you also
broadcast.
put Dash while she's battling cancer. So is the first one to do it while battling cancer?
No, no, no. The first female coach to win a volleyball Division One volleyball championship title.
Well, that's insane.
She's also battling breast cancer at the moment.
Good for her.
So
Feel good story. Feel good story.
that is a good story. Feel good story. In the semifinals, Penn State did the reverse sweep, so they went down 2 sets to none, and then beat Louisville in the next three to get to the championship.
Is the reverse sweep a thing? Like, or did you just make that up?
That's something they call it. Yeah,
Oh.
not a term that I made up by any means.
I was like, Muff.
Oh, speaking of terms that are made up, have you guys ever heard anyone use the word bingle?
What?
Spell it.
Bingle.
Bingle.
Yeah. My dad was like, and my uncle were like,
Country of
That's-
origin.
that's wild that like I don't know, my dad's basement, in my opinion. Because what he's like, yeah, he's like, it just means like get a little hit, like, come on, all we need out there is a little bingle. Let's go out there and get a
A
little
little
Like a
bingle.
bunt single.
bingle.
Wow,
Like,
it is. It's a baseball slang for a base hit.
yeah, I've never heard that used like that in my life. And we were playing this like board game thing yesterday, and it was like words that rhyme with jingle, and you had to go around or whatever. And Dad was like bingle, and I was like, you can't just make shit up. Like, you don't just get
Wow.
away-
It comes from Australia.
No,
My guess is that comes from what's that game? Cricket. I bet that's from cricket.
That would add up.
I don't know. But then they just kept saying it at me like that, as though I was gonna know what the word was or have heard it before if they kept saying it.
I would just call them old. It actually originated in the United States between 1900 and 1905. So, yes, they're old.
I will let Uncle Rod and Dad know that they're just old.
All right. Bingle it is.
Bingo!
I honestly just bunt single. that's the two words that went into my head once I knew that that was the
Yeah.
context.
Well, I was like, oh, I'm going to ask them. And my dad's like, no, ask them on the show. I was like, okay.
Alex, Dad, you're old.
Uncle Rod,
Also old.
also old. All right. In the basketball
Don't
world,
come from a boy. Don't come from a
Thank
boy.
you. Thank you.
in the basketball world, USC and Juju Watkins get revenge from last year's NCAA tournament as they take down Paige Beckers and UConn 72-70 over the weekend. Do we think that this rivalry will
Stop
in
it,
any
Muff.
way
Stop it, Muff.
bring the same sizzle as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese?
Don't be one of those whores. Stop it.
So the answer is no.
Time will tell. Can we move on? Don't be one of those whores. Don't be a part of the machine, Muff.
In the NBA, there seems to be an even more serious problem than people may have thought initially as the ratings continue to be down, down, down,
Nobody cares.
with no real player to carry the torch after LeBron retires. Jason Whitlock, very controversial media figure, put it into context in this way. He said, and I quote, Zion Williamson was supposed to be the next big thing, and that's flopped. John Morant flashes guns everywhere. Wemby's boring. The largest story to come from the NBA this year is Bronny. End quote.
Yeah, and how bad he is.
I think the NBA's got a real serious problem moving forward, guys.
Wah, wah, wah.
Real serious.
Maybe if it wasn't just like a freaking reality TV show and it was more of a basketball game, we'd want to watch it.
I think this is a larger statement on a bigger issue. It's called society. We care more about what shoes they're wearing and when the next release is of those shoes than the actual sport in which they play.
You sneakerhead, Jim?
Unfortunately,
Have you become one for some reason?
my child, is dabbling her toes, pun intended, into the sneaker game. So I am slowly, begrudgingly, going to these shoe stores where, like, I'm seeing the names of these players on these shoes, and I'm like, none of these people even watch basketball. Like, there's games on right now, and you're at the sneaker store buying the shoe, but you don't even know the score of the game. What are y'all doing?
You tell your kid that.
And the shoes look ridiculous.
And the shoes look ridiculous.
Now you kind of sound old now. You might want to
But
take back
and
some
you know
of
what
that
they're gonna do
smoke
with
you
these
threw
shoes?
earlier.
You know what they're gonna do with the shoes?
Put them in a
Keep them
box.
in the box.
They're an investment, Jim.
And then they're gonna trade them to each other in the box. So now you just have a box of shoes that you're gonna give to somebody else, and they're just gonna trade money
But Dad, they look cool.
in the box.
Ah, these are collector's items. These aren't cool looking.
It's ridiculous.
Is this what you say to your daughter?
She hasn't gotten that far.
Okay.
I still have the good fight to fight.
At what point how long will you let this go before you say out loud, this is ridiculous?
Oh, not very far.
Okay.
I've never known
Is it the
Jim.
first time she wants to get a pair of shoes and then she doesn't want to take them out of the box?
That'd be it.
I don't think I've ever felt that Jim was someone who would withhold his opinion.
Well, it's his kids involved. I feel like there's just a little bit, they get a little bit extra grace.
Well, he's a little softer
For a
on it.
second.
Right. There's a little bit of extra grace that he allows the event to happen before he tells them it's ridiculous.
Yes, we will
Instead
go
of-
to the store. We will purchase the shoes, but those motherfuckers will be on your feet.
Other basketball news, Jim.
During the Ohio State awesome Saturday, Ohio State upset number 4 Kentucky 85-65 in Madison Square Garden on Saturday night. Ohio State basketball is weird.
Columbus even realized this was going on.
They did, which was also why I brought it up.
Okay. Well, that's because you won, right? There was relief, and then this was your excitement.
It was like, all right, we're really beating the shit out of the South. This is awesome.
This is awesome.
But like we also got our asses kicked by Auburn like a week ago. It's very weird. It's confusing. We do real well, and then we don't. Confusing.
And in baseball, just I think we just had to toss this in there. Contracts are happening. Dudes are getting paid way too much money. But through it all, we have John Carlos Stanton's ex-wife's current husband, Cody Bellinger.
Ex-wife's current husband.
Yeah.
I just
John
I mean-
Carlos' ex-wife and current husband.
Cody Bellinger is coming back to join Stanton with the Yankees. They'll be in
awkward.
the same clubhouse.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
Playing in the same outfield.
How does this conversation happen in the locker room?
Guess it depends on what the terms of the divorce were.
Don't have those answers. But, that's baseball. In the NHL, I may have exaggerated slightly. The Pens are middling.
Yeah,
The
we're
Blue Jackets are following, and the Kraken are on the outside looking in.
Playing the Avalanche as we speak.
Any score, Jim? Live update?
Not currently. I
No
do. I
score.
wanted.
Stan's dead.
Yeah.
That's true. And in golf, I'm assuming Jim
Muff,
put this in
I'm
here.
so shocked this is not in your thing. Charlie got an ace today,
Charlie had a hole in one.
Yeah, he did.
and he has to buy. According to the rules, he's got to buy everybody around.
Unwritten rules. This is like baseball.
Is he even
Unwritten rule, Jim.
21?
He's not even 21.
So
Yes, if you get a hole in one, you have to buy the group and whoever you choose to buy a round for.
John Daly is dying for that man to get back to the clubhouse.
Oh, he just gets one.
So I have questions.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is even fair that Tiger and Charlie
Yeah.
playing an old dude and his son.
Are you talking about John Daly?
No, he was playing man, I can't think of the guy's name now. But Tiger plays from the far away tee box.
Yeah.
Charlie plays from the
Closer.
closer.
Yeah.
The old dude's kid plays from the same tee box that Charlie's playing from.
Mhm.
The old dude gets to play from even closer, and Charlie and Tiger get beat and sudden death. Well, no shit. The old dude's got an advantage.
I'm gonna call on Alex's recollection and knowledge of what the tee boxes represent.
Oldness.
No. Alex, do you remember?
Isn't it like girls, boys, seniors? Boys?
It's skill
I know
level.
we're not saying girls, boys, but
No, it's skill level.
Yeah.
Theoretically, the tee boxes represent your handicap. And your handicap is the amount of strokes that you give to everyone else. So, say Tiger's a plus something. So we'll call him a +4, which means that you're better than a scratch golfer. You're a professional. For reference, I am right now like a 5 or a 6 handicap, which means in an 18-hole round, Tiger's probably better than +4. An 18-hole round, Tiger would give me 10 strokes. So I would start 10 strokes ahead of Tiger.
Or you're
Uh-huh.
the only one laughing at giving strokes.
Thank you, Alex. So the tee boxes represent typically your handicap. So professionals, Tiger, people with plus handicaps are playing from the farthest tees back. Old dude is probably like a 10, 12, 14 handicap at this point, which means he gets to play from the upfront tees, which is part of the equalizer.
It'd be like if I was playing, I would get to play like from the middle of the fairway while Muff shot from the green to make it
But
fair.
they beat Tiger by a stroke.
That's fine. That theoretically means that it was probably the most fair.
And then he got the long ass putter that's up to his chin.
I mean, that's oh well.
Anyone can use that,
That's
right?
that's a preference thing.
I don't know. All right. So anyway, if you're calling
Charlie
it fair,
got a
I
hole in
guess
one.
it's fair.
Charlie got a
My
hole
other thing is like, why are we not watching that all the time?
because this is the PNC Championship. This is like the only event they do this.
I'll tell you what. That was way more riveting. I'll watch Tiger and Charlie play with Tiger's daughter being the caddy. That's
Mhm.
the storyline felt good. I liked watching it better than anything you've put on golf in the last year.
Well, even funnier, we had a version of the match that happened within the past week, which nobody realized because it was on Max,
I don't even care. Give
right?
me Charlie and Tiger.
This was Live versus PGA, Jim,
Don't
and
care.
nobody knew.
Give me Tiger and Charlie.
Who won?
I, Alex, I didn't even know. I didn't watch it. It was like one of those
Oh,
things I was on
I do.
Twitter and it's like, oh my God, the match is happening. Did anybody
But
know this? And
you
everybody
still
said,
aren't answering
no.
the question.
What?
Why is it not Tiger and Charlie? Let's just do this. Let's do a tour of this.
I mean, Tiger does have his own tour, but it's mostly for professionals to play on his course. It's like a mini course. Um,
That's
because
hard. Tiger would make all kinds of money.
I
Charlie
don't,
would get better,
Tiger's already making all sorts of money, Jim.
but like that seems like a brand new revenue stream.
What, to make like a whole other tour?
Yeah, hey, me and
No.
Charlie are gonna play. You come to my golf course. Me and Charlie are gonna play you. We'll play match play.
Then they
It'll
become
be a great time.
YouTubers. Then they're
Um,
YouTubers, which,
the Paul brothers are making hand over fist.
oh, the Jim Golf YouTube, if you really want to dive into it, there are three or four main YouTube channels that are golf related that are entirely what you're talking about all the time. Bryson
Except
DeChambeau is one of them. Good Golf, Rick Shields Golf. That's all they do is bring celebrities and people of note
Muff.
on and play against them.
I'm telling you, Tiger and his son against celebrity and their child. I, gold, solid gold.
You're listening, Tiger. Trademark, copyright.
Brilliant. That's all I got.
All right. Anything else, gents?
I think we covered it all.
This brings us to the end of this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As remember, make sure you follow us on Instagram, on Twitter at Sports Jim Muff, for Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Get that bell on. Enjoy the Christmas season. Enjoy your holidays. And depending on how often we record, enjoy your new year. From the Sports Stuff with Jim Muff Enterprise, we bid you all adieu until we see again, which I don't know. Who knows when this is going
Jingle
to be?
jangle.
Do we know?
Nah, we'll figure it out.
We don't know. If you got to this far in the episode, let us know when you want to listen, and we'll do it just for you. Until then, make sure you tell a friend, make a friend,
Be
be
uh
a
Fred.
friend.